All right, everyone. So we're going to get started. Welcome to the Wholesale Hotline pre-show. If this is your first time tuning in, my name is Bryce, where we break down people that are using the BatchDriven app, people that have, taken action. We want this to be, a database for you guys to ask your questions. So you guys aren't new to this. Feel free to drop what market you guys are in the comment section. But basically what we're going to do today, we have a gentleman named David, and he's been utilizing the BatchDriven app. And that's what we're really pushing for. We want you guys to get started in this business. And a lot of questions come through Brent Daniels, Jamil, and Pace. And their number one asked question is, how do I get started? Okay, and their answer is always going to be, driving for dollars. So today we have David, and he is not just starting out. He's been, in this business for quite some time. So I'm super excited and grateful to have David on here. So David, before we get started, why don't you tell everyone what market you're in or what markets you guys are in? And then why don't you tell us how you got started in real estate?
Well, actually, my significant other should really be here because she's the one that really got this started. And I piggybacked on her success and saw that her success with a local wholesaler here in the Orlando market gave me pause. And the market looked like a similar market that I'd seen earlier in my career. And that's when we started Local Home Investment back in 2016. Last year, we did over 150 deals in 38 states. So when you ask about markets, we take the country and really split it into what we call DMAs, designated market areas. Very simply, that's any market that has more than 100,000 population. We feel that size can handle any activity that we need to do in that market, whether it's a JV, whether it's a buy and hold, it's a fix and flip, whether it's a paper flip or anything like that. We look at the markets. We also expand that market out toward any town that's got a major university where we've got a 5,000 gap between enrollment and dorm room beds or a military base with the same numbers. So we really try not to limit our markets that way, and mainly because of low-hanging fruit, but as this industry is really still pretty immature. And right. There are some markets, like the market that's 20 miles from our house here in Orlando. We last year, out of all those deals, we did less than a handful here in Orlando.
Got it. So you're currently living in Orlando.
Right. We live just outside of Orlando.
Got it. Now, the whole point of this show is to have, people squatting up. We want them doing, deals together and kind of networking, that sort of thing. You can see, I don't know if you can see in the comment section, there's people, telling themselves what market they're in. They're giving their phone numbers. We just want it to be.
I see it now.
Right. Yeah. We just want to.
What's interesting about that is the BatchDriven app is something that we've turned to because out of all those deals, we did less than a handful in Orlando. The issue here is if you're just getting started, or if you've been in the business since the beginning of time, leads are so expensive, and it's ridiculous. And even if you have what we feel is a significantly above market close rate, which is about 1 in 12 to leads, a $500 lead is still a $500 lead. I can't see myself ever buying a $500 lead. I don't like buying $75 leads, but
right.
But what BatchDriven has given us is through through regular people that come up to me or to Dana and talk about our business, we can get them involved by saying, you know, if you'll just use this app. And again, I couldn't technically tell you very much about BatchDriven other than it works great for us for how we use it. We've put it in the hands of about a dozen people who see the grass needs cut, see the newspapers piling up on the front porch, see the beginnings of unrest around a house, or they know of a neighbor or somebody who's going through a tough time who might be open to a wholesale deal, and they snap that picture. And on my PC here, I get that information, and then we take it from there. We don't use BatchDriven for anything else, only because our primary focus is we wanted to, and we called it our street team. We wanted to arm our street team with the simplest thing possible. Now, we've got a couple people who've cashed some nice checks, and so they're starting to use it more and more. And candidly, maybe I can refer them to you to answer their questions, because I don't know how it works. I'm just saying, you know, point and shoot and go that way. So we've been unbelievably pleased with it, and kind of backed into using it over some of the competitors.
Yeah, awesome. And the reason why I wanted to bring you on, because a gentleman we had last week was utilizing the BatchDriven app, and you know, he was pretty new into the business, and he ended up cashing a $23,000 assignment fee just from this one app. Now you are doing, you know, deals in 30, you said 37 to 38 different markets?
38 states.
38 states.
Yeah.
Right. So it just goes to show you, I mean, you can utilize this app, whether if you're just a beginner or if you've already been in the business for quite some time, and you can have a team under you to utilize the app, you know, creating these leads, adding these properties to your driving for dollars list is what we call it. And then you guys can do the outreach, right? And that's what we're trying to do. We have virtual assistants that drive for dollars virtually in the Philippines. They're
Really?
they're utilizing the app virtually, and they're just creating the folder, and they're doing everything from A to Z. They're adding the properties to the list. They're exporting that list into a dialer, and they're calling these leads using the cold calling scripts that we provide them.
Yeah,
So
I think that's outstanding. I think we're really at an interesting time. I was talking to a couple of people earlier today about Jeffrey Moore wrote a book in 1991 called Crossing the Chasm, and that book is so apropos today because of not only COVID, but the turnover in our government, what's going on in the world, but primarily for us, what BatchDriven has done is we wanted to expand and do this virtually so we didn't get the ups and downs of any particular market. But what BatchDriven has done for us is, in a geographically centered area, there's about 5 or 6 zip codes here in Central Florida, in Orange County and Seminole County, where houses aren't on the market for more than a few hours, forget a few days. And if you don't offer listing price or above, you're not in the deal. And so it not only makes fix and flips more of a less risky environment, but it makes flipping the paper easier for other wholesalers, because this is, I mean, it may not be the most competitive marketplace in the country, but it's pretty competitive. And again, this market is so vast, we still like to focus on low hanging fruit.
Right. Yeah. Great answer there. Can you see the screen here? It says, this is a question from Renee. She says, how are you obtaining your drivers? Are they boots on the ground or virtual?
They're boots on the ground. They are laborers who have come to the house to do something, who have the initiative to have their own HVAC business or plumbing business, or, I mean, we have a beautiful home, but the Florida weather is not just, it's tough on a house. And so, yeah, we've got a patio that gets so much sunlight and water. There's some structural issues that we have to take care of. And we've gotten some people that have come out, and you talk to these folks and they're saying, well, how do you get into what you do? I said, well, that's a longer story, but here's a good place to start. And most of them have just started out, not necessarily just driving for dollars, but just driving home or driving to the store or driving probably by, one of the competitors' bandit signs and taking a picture of a house. So I did see the question about deal machines over BatchDriven. And I'll tell you that I was going to meet with a group of about 6 of these now members of the street team. And to be brutally honest, I hadn't yet downloaded the Deal Machines app that I was intending upon using that day. I went to download it and I had a technical issue. I called support and they didn't respond. I couldn't get a hold of somebody. I didn't have time for a problem. I went on Google and typed Deal Machines competitors, BatchDriven, because it's a B, was near the top.
Yeah.
I downloaded it, went through it myself, went outside, took a picture of my house, got the information from it, and that was exactly what I needed. So I went back in and I changed my notes from Deal Machine to BatchDriven and haven't ever looked back and won't now. I mean, there's no reason to.
Yeah, and Ben, to answer this question as well, I've personally never used Deal Machine either, so I can't say anything negative about Deal Machine.
Well, I have only used them a little bit, but I'm not a firm believer. I'm anachronistic, which means I'm extremely old-fashioned.
Right. Okay? Yeah. So, and another thing that
you talk to people,
right.
I know how many yellow letters I get. I know how many solicitations I get. I believe that you talk to people. I believe the street team, the referral networks. Those are the best ways to do it. But for the people getting started, find a house and just get started. Just
right.
Do it. Don't waste time on a 100-page business plan. There's enough people out there that need relief. I mean, we try to provide a fast and easy solution to remove the real estate restrictions in our clients' lives, and that's what we focus on.
For sure. And then Ben, to add to that, another thing that a lot of people like about Batch is I actually go live 5 days a week on YouTube, on the BatchDriven YouTube, and I'm here as a moral support. So if you have any questions pertaining to driving for dollars, you can always reach out to me. This is what I do for a living. And then also on Instagram, if you type in BatchDriven app, you can message me any hour of the day, and I'll be more than happy to answer that and be there to help you guys. Okay. And then
Awesome.
one thing, David, that I wanted to highlight here. So you're saying that, let's see, where did it go? Renee says thoughts on Amazon drivers, Uber Eats. I know for us, what we've thought about doing is, the UPS or the mailman is having them download the app as well, because they're going really door to door, essentially, to add these distressed properties. What are your thoughts on maybe doing something like this?
I think it's a great idea if you can get them to do it, and what I would focus on, and as we expand to having other areas, is make sure that you can have some success fast. Because if you can have some success fast, it's gonna mushroom, and they're going to find their neighbors to get them involved and their friends to get involved. I think I think you can oversaturate it. I think it's a market that, the people. The funny part is we're fortunate enough to control some significant SEO words. Mm-hmm. So sometimes we'll have clients, for whatever reason, that may shop around in them while they're still under contract. And what oddly enough, what happens is they end up coming back to us through our SEO words. The app works great. It's wonderful for bread and butter leads, but I wouldn't stress anything harder than get some success early. Because the few members of our street team, which is probably no more than, it's probably under a couple dozen now, that have cashed checks, are not just throwing through quantity, they're throwing through leads that, are coming through like social leads. Mm-hmm. The one guy knew of a squatter in this neighborhood where there's an out-of-town owner, and somebody had actually moved in, done a lipstick rehab, and rented it to somebody else. And there's an out-of-town owner, and he knew it and passed on the lead. Now, it was quite a story in getting through to that property, but that's what can happen.
Yeah, for sure. And then there was another question by Renee. She's answering a lot of great questions. Let me pull it up. She wants to know how you are paying them, or what is like the payment structure. Are you paying them hourly?
I told them all, I'm going to pay you with a check. You're getting a 1099. You're purely an independent contractor. I'm going to deduct from your first check the cost of it. So we meet the Department of Labor standards. It's not going to get paid under the table. The industry's got enough bad actors in it. We don't need to propagate that. So, they get paid as a check, and they get paid the day after funding, or sometimes the day of funding. If we get, for instance, get funded in the morning, we may get a check out to them that afternoon. And if in a couple of cases, the checks have been big enough to wire.
Oh, wow. Okay. I'm sure their face lights up when they get that check.
It's funny when you go to somebody and say, I need your wiring instructions. And you need what? And it makes for a pretty good day.
Yeah, I would definitely say so. So Ben says, yeah, I'm gonna cancel my subscription with Deal Machine. Ben, try out BatchDriven. If you see on the bottom of the screen here, you can go to batchdriven.com/squad up. That's going to give you a 7-day free trial and also 50 free skip traces. So, I mean, I would say just try it out, make sure that you actually like it, and then utilize me. If you go to BatchDriven app on Instagram, you can message me. I'll be more than happy to hop on a phone call with you, or even maybe a scheduled Zoom. Just something so that we can, go through the different ways. I can show you how to use the app. You can schedule an onboarding call with someone from our support team. But I think the best thing to do is just go out there and take action, right? Just add these properties to these distressed properties to your driving for dollars folder. Today I went out and I added, I think, 63 properties to our driving for dollars folder. And now we're going to have some virtual assistants cold calling that list. And that's what we do every single day. And the reason why we love driving for dollars is because no one has access to that list, right? It's custom and it's a niche list that only I have access to. So if you don't know really how to negotiate with sellers, you don't really know what to say, this is going to be where you find the low hanging fruit. Okay. These people only have two options when it comes down to it, right? They can either fix the property up themselves and sell it, or they can benefit from a cash offer, which is where we come in hand. So keep that in mind, Ben. Awesome. So David, as far as you implementing BatchDriven, how long has it been since you guys downloaded the app, and how many deals or how many contracts have you had?
Well, what we do is, I think we're right now finishing up. With the end of the month will be the first quarter. We kick this off, and again, remember in South Florida or Central Florida, we have a pretty mild winter. So when in December we had a little event where we got a few people together. The day I was talking about when I downloaded the app. So we've been doing it almost a full quarter. We've gotten, I think, well, and that's pretty good considering the dates. We've gotten 4 closings. We've got 10 in late in the closing cycle. So we've had really good success, and I think that success is tied primarily to the early success of having just a few people and focusing on that, and I guess the ease of use of the app, because most of these people struggled to find the app store and download an app, and we just programmed in their logins and showed them, you go right here, you click here, and then you point and you click, and that's it. And a couple of them then would call me and said, I just downloaded a house. I said, you don't have to see. I just see it. You were right here. And they were, while technology's pretty advanced, still a lot of people that it's brand new to.
Yeah, I know definitely for me, the BatchDriven app, like I am not tech savvy at all. I don't even have a TV in my room. I barely know how to work email. So the BatchDriven app was, an app that I knew. It was super straightforward and it was super easy to use. And I remember listening to a podcast where a gentleman that I actually work for now was in the Phoenix market, and he laid out his entire guidelines, like what his route or routine was. And I just copied that, right? He was driving for dollars 5 days a week. He was adding 25 to 30 properties every single day. And then he would go home and cold call them, right? So that's exactly what I did to get my first deal. There's no need to, get shiny object syndrome. Just, if you want to get started, this is going to be a great way for you to.
Right.
So just take action. All you're doing is adding these ugly distressed properties to your folder.
Let me see if I can, I should have thought of this in advance. What I did is I created a real short PowerPoint to go over. And let me see if I can find that real quick while you take some other questions.
Awesome. Yeah. And then we have about 5 more minutes until Brent, Pace, and Jamil go live. So just want to give you that 5 minutes head
perfect.
up.
Okay. Yeah, I found the PowerPoint as soon as it comes up.
Awesome. So guys, in the comment section, let me know if you have any questions that I can answer right now, just so that we could all be on the same page. But we got about 5 minutes until the show starts. So I'm super excited. This is Wholesale Hotline number 57. 57, guys.
Okay. Essentially, like I said, look for overstuffed mailboxes, old newspapers on the porch driver sidewalk, orange or yellow code violation stickers anywhere. Yard needs mowed, bushes need trimmed. You see the roof is damaged or a window's broken. Or if you have any unique knowledge of the property. And then what we do is we pay $25 if we're able to take the address and identify that as a lead. We pay $100 if we at least make a proposal or give a contract to that person. If we get them under the contract and we're able to get that at a certain percentage, which I'm not going to broadcast here, or the ARV is over $100,000, we give them $500. And then if it goes to closing, we pay them a percentage of the net profit.
Awesome. Cool.
As we would a JV partner. So, if there's a chance for them to make pocket money along the way, and then if they hit a home run, to be compensated the same way.
Awesome. Now, before we wrap this up, David, first off, thank you so much for hopping on here. If people want to reach out to you, people are in the Orlando market, how do they find you? What should they do to take those action steps?
I tell you what I'll do is I'll provide you with our website and my email address that you can send out. And then they could contact me. The name of our group is localhomeinvestment.com, and it's singular. And we're here headquartered in Orlando, but work really all over the United States, except in the attorney states where you have to have attorneys to close. Although we just modified our agreement and partnered with a new broker up in Illinois, because Illinois, as you know, came out with the new laws against wholesaling, that if you wholesale more than a single property, you have to be partnered with a broker.
Awesome. So David, why don't you put that in the comment section, and then we're going to be done. Brent and Pace are about to go live.
Okay.
But thank you so much for hopping on. Hopefully, people got some provided value here. So put your comment section or your email in the comment section, and we'll have some people reach out to you if they need help.
Okay. Great. Let me put it right here, and let me see if you get it. That came through the private chat, so you can broadcast that if you want to.
Awesome. All right, David. Well, thank you so much for hopping on, and we're going to let PB&J take over from now.
Have a great night. Talk to you later.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Wholesale Hotline, where we cover everything to do with wholesale real estate. I'm Jamil Damji.
I'm Brent Daniels.
And I am Pace Morby.
And together we cover the most important parts of wholesale real estate.
Lead generation.
Conversion of sellers into contracts.
And dispositions. Guys, remember when you're watching this show, do us a favor and squad up in the comments.
Make sure that you are liking and subscribing to the YouTube channels and in the Facebook group Wholesale Hotline.
Most important, we want to know we're doing a great job for you and helping you build your business. So go give us a review on iTunes and or Spotify.
So squad up and enjoy the show!
Here we go. Here we go. I love that intro. I love that. Wholesale Hotline number 57. Oh my goodness. I'm pumped, guys. I saw Jamil earlier today. We got to chat about some things. It was wonderful. And I'm excited. I'm excited to get into this because I think virtual wholesaling is an incredibly kind of confusing. Maybe, it's a little bit intimidating. Maybe you live in a smaller town and you want to go and get those bigger deals, or maybe you're in a bigger town and you want to go out into the smaller areas where there's a little bit less congestion. You want to find those deals. So we're going to talk about all that. We're going to do our best to answer the questions as they pop up. Sometimes we just go off the rails. Let's be honest. Sometimes we go off the rails. But I am one of the three hosts, Brent Daniels, Mr. TTP, Mr. Talk to People. Next to me up top here is Pace Morby, Mr. Sub 2, Mr. Creative Financing, Mr. I'll close that deal, man. And below here is the one and only, the number one wholesaler on planet Earth, perhaps in the Milky Way, Jamil Damji, and we're excited. We're excited to share this next 90 minutes with you and answer the questions and really deep dive into virtual wholesaling. Do you guys mind if I open up with this quote from the Eat That Frog book? Okay. Last week we talked about this. Last week we talked about the priority of, getting the hard things done first, about going after your biggest goals first. So let me hit you with this. This is called build up a sense of momentum. When you regularly take continuous action towards your most important goals, you activate the momentum principle of success. This principle says that although it may take tremendous amounts of energy to overcome inertia and get started initially, it takes far less energy to keep it going. And I think that's absolutely true. Don't you guys feel that way in your life, personal and professionally?
100%. Yep. 1000%. I get people in my DMs on Instagram frequently asking, how do I get started in real estate? And it seems to be one of the most challenging questions to overcome, right? However, people that have been in the business a year or 2 years, they scoff at that question, right? Because they have the momentum. And so really, or people like, let's say people have gotten their first deal or their second deal, and then they come back to the DMs, right? They're not a student of mine or yours or Jamil's, but they're in the community, and they go, I feel lost. And I already know what that means when they say I feel lost. What that means is I have no momentum. And you actually said it really, really well out of that book. A sense of momentum, right, changes everything, right? It changes everything in your life. So just going and starting and getting this sense of momentum changes who you are as a person almost. It's crazy.
Fantastic book. This is the book of destroying procrastination. It literally says it on the back. Stop procrastinating. They've sold 1 million and 2 million copies probably by now on this book because it is powerful and you can read it in like an hour. So I highly suggest it for everybody, especially if you need a little bit of jolt. But I hope that this show gives you the inspiration and the answers that you need to be able to just pick up that phone and really start making something out of this thing. Not letting it be the device that holds you hostage to your success, but the thing that opens up your success. It all starts with this, guys. It all starts with this. It all starts there and building the momentum and building up those quality conversations with distressed property owners, or as Jamil says, the people that represent the distressed property owners. And that's the absolute truth. If we start building that up, start building the momentum, you're going to feel fantastic. That's why you need to start just pushing, just start making calls as soon as you can so that you can start building that little bit of emotion, a little bit of action, a little bit of motion, a little bit of momentum.
Can I ask the first two questions of the day?
Let's do it, brother.
Question number one is not related to the topic necessarily, but question number two is,
okay.
Jamil, how do you feel after working your guts out for 3 days straight on an amazing mastermind? Amazing mastermind. How do you feel?
Fantastic, man. It's like I imagine what I felt like was like what a marathon runner feels like at the end of the race. You know, it's the endorphins, all of the feel-good chemicals, the impact. I mean, honestly, I have never had that feeling before in my life. The inner well-being, the satisfaction, and that with the pure exhaustion was led to one of the best sleeps I've ever had on on Sunday night. But it was fantastic, man. It's really life-changing to see what this business can do for people, and getting to meet people face to face and hang out with them for an entire weekend and really dive deep into what's going on in their businesses, and for them to be able to see behind the curtain at Keegley, talk to all my top people, really just get into the weeds with us was amazing, man. And you, Pace, Brent, you guys came and crushed it. Pace, everybody was saying that they had never understood the power of creative finance until they had that opportunity to listen to you speak for, it was only an hour and 15 minutes that you talked, but what you delivered there, you even had my sister juiced up. You know what I mean? Like she walked out like, oh my God, creative finance is the coolest, most amazing thing I think I've ever heard of in my life. And that's I'm not making that up. That's real. Like it's,
she pulled me aside and she gave me a compliment, and I was like, wow, I love your sister. I've known her for years, and I respect her tremendously because she's a professional at her craft as well. And so it'd be like, Kobe Bryant giving Michael Jordan a compliment, or at least what I feel like myself as a closer and somebody in the creative finance space. She gives me this compliment. I was like, I was really taken aback. And I was like, Raheem, are you pulling my leg right now? And she's like, no, I honestly was enthralled. Like I was floored the whole hour and 15 minutes you spoke. And I was like, wow, thank you so much. So I came home and my wife was like, how was Jamil's mastermind? I was like, first off, TTP's the shit, just so you know.
Yeah. I got some words for TTP, but keep going.
Right. Please. Second, Rahima gave me this compliment, and I said it. She's like, Rahima said that? She's like, you impressed Rahima? I was like, dude, like this might be the highlight of the year so far.
You impressed her like nothing I'd ever seen before. She just was amazed. It's like when you watch the highest level athlete do their thing, right? When Pace can explain the way that creative finance works and subject to works, and how you can create this income stream, this infinite income stream from literally nothing, right? When you can listen to a person speak to how they just purchased a house for $0 out of their pocket, and then created an income stream of $1,000 a month or more, and then does that over and over and over and over and over and over again, it's no wonder people got excited. It's no wonder people get completely enthralled and enmeshed into the world of creative finance. It's fantastic, man. And Brent, dude, like
you crushed it, dude.
Just your energy, Brent, and the way you speak and connect to people, how you vibe and you walk in. If you guys haven't had the opportunity to listen to Brent Daniels speak, wherever he is next, buy a ticket and go, because he's got this capacity to get in the zone and like laser focus his energy right into your solar plex. And everybody in that room was just like, wow, It's fantastic. I'm so thankful that you two are my friends. So thankful that you guys came and blessed the astro flipping students that were at the mastermind with your knowledge, your information, your energy and enthusiasm. Love you both so much. Thank you for making it the best weekend of my life. I appreciate you both.
Well, we are going to have a great time next week in Tampa. All three of us are going to be at another mastermind together at the family mastermind. So that'll be cool. Anybody in the wholesale audience that is in Tampa or maybe Orlando, I know a bunch of people are already planning on driving up from like West Palm. Jamil and I are going to be doing a meetup on Saturday, April 3rd in Tampa, probably right outside the hotel, somewhere outside. Good weather. The weather's awesome right now in Tampa. So if anybody wants to come, obviously sub 2 and Astro students, TTP students, obviously, but we want to bring the whole community. We want to kind of have like a wholesale hotline meetup in Tampa on April 3rd. Now,
sorry,
go
I was
ahead.
just saying Tampa's so close to so many places.
Uh-huh.
So guys, drive. We don't know when we're going to be able to do this again because we've got commitments coming up after that are going to be quite long. Drive from everywhere. Come from everywhere. Just pack Tampa.
Let's do it. So that'll be Saturday night, April the 3rd for anybody who wants to come. Now, here's my question, tying back into Wholesale Hotline and the topic for the day, virtual wholesaling. I think the most common question I get regarding virtual wholesaling, and I would almost want you guys to answer this because I actually don't know that I know the answer to this. My partners typically are the ones that decide this. How do I decide which virtual market to go to? Now, I see a lot of people in Jersey, a lot of people in New York, a lot of people in California because they've got interesting laws, people in Illinois doing a lot of virtual wholesaling, and they're like, yo, it's cold here half the year. I want to virtually wholesale somewhere else. I don't want to be driving for dollars where it's cold. Do you guys have a good answer for how to pick a virtual market?
You first, Brent.
Yeah, mine is going to be way less sophisticated than what Jamil's about to drop down because I've heard him talk about this before, and this is something that you guys need to rewind and watch again because he's going to give you the real nitty gritty. Listen, Keegley's everywhere, and they're everywhere in specific markets because of the strategies that Jamil's going to break down. But what I would say is this. What I would say is don't assume anything, test everything. Okay, what I mean is if you like Tampa and Orlando and West Palm Beach, right? And you're kind of trying to decide between the three. I want you to pull a list of 200 addresses from each market, right? Whether it be a tired landlord list, a vacant list, maybe pre-foreclosures, maybe it's you do a little bit of virtual driving for dollars. That might take a little bit of time. Just pull an easy list, a multifamily list, and skip trace it, batchskiptracing.com, and then test it out. Call them and see where you're feeling it out, where it feels the best, where are you having better conversations? Because people, believe it or not, will tell you, don't go to this market, it's terrible, because they're killing it in that market and they don't want you there, okay? It just happens. So don't just assume that because people say you can't do it here, unless, obviously you don't have a license or there's some legal kind of guidelines that are holding you back. But beyond that, I would say test out 3 different markets, see how it feels, and you're going to know pretty quick where you want to be doing business. And I would say pick those 3 markets based on what Jamil's about to drop. So go ahead, Jamil.
What up, guys? So first things first, you need to determine whether or not the market that you're looking at is one of 2 things. Is it a high appreciation, high demand market, or is it a low depreciation cash flow market, right? That is going to determine what kind of buyer you have. That means if it's a high appreciation, high demand market, you're going to have speculators, you're going to have rehabbers. If it's a low demand cash flow market, you're going to have cash flow people, right? So that is the first thing you need to understand. And how do you figure that out? How do you find out if it's high demand, high appreciation, low demand cash flow? Well, first things first, you're going to look at what's selling around there, right? You want to go get the batch leads tool. Look at what are transactions happening at, around in that, what price point in that area? Are they cash? Are they a lot of cash transaction? Are they low dollar? Are they in the, under sub $100,000 mark? Are the rental rates 1.5% to 2% of the price? That is a low demand cash flow area, right? Are the prices just crazy? Are the prices just out of control? Are the rents and the cap rates like 5-6%? That's a high demand, high appreciation area. Now, both are great for wholesale. Both are great for wholesale, but you want to see how liquid the market is. So first things first, guys, I like to wholesale, or I would only want to virtually wholesale in markets that are at least 500,000 in population, 500,000 people or more. It doesn't mean you can't do wholesale deals in populations that are smaller than that. You, of course, can. And there's a lot of people killing it there. But if you're going to do this virtually, you need to stand in a crowd. You need to be in the place where there's lots of people, because you've got to get your deal sold off fast. You don't have the luxury of time. You don't have the luxury of being local. You need to be able to step in there, get your deals under contract, and move them to put them in front of as many buyers as possible. If you guys want an interesting roadmap, why don't you go to the KeegleyDispo.com website and see what 14 markets Thomas has bought franchises in, and that'll give you an amazing idea of where it's on and popping right now. And I would also say, see where you can squat up with people. Where do you have relationships? If you're going to virtually wholesale, also remember that you're going to need help. You're going to need people to help you open doors. You're going to need people to help you take pictures. You might need people to help you bring buyers. You're going to need assistance. So virtual wholesale in a market where you've got boots on the ground or you have infrastructure set up.
Love it. What about the, Jamil, what about the foreclosure process and private money?
Right. Judicial and trustee states.
Trustee.
So what you want to do is go into Google right now and Google what are trustee states versus judicial states. The reason why you want to know this is trustee states allow for an easier foreclosure process, right? You can foreclose in a trustee state in 90 days. You can get somebody out of a house in 90 days or less, sometimes even 60 days, sometimes even 30 days. The foreclosure process is so rapid. In judicial states, the foreclosure process requires a lawsuit, and that takes forever. And that could be something where you're foreclosing for a year or a year and a half. And what does that mean? Lenders aren't going to want to be there. Private lenders aren't going to want to put money there. When you're wholesaling, not even virtual, but when you're wholesaling, you want to make sure that there is liquidity in the area. And why it's important if there's hard money lenders or private money lenders that are readily available is because your buyers are going to use those private money lenders. They're going to use those hard money lenders. And that's the access to the capital that they need to close on your deal. So you want to be doing this in trustee states. I'm not saying that wholesale doesn't work in judicial states. It's just there's less capital there. And because of that, there's going to be fewer buyers.
And if there's more money, there's more cash buyers. The more cash buyers, the more you're going to make on your deals.
Yes, sir.
Yep. There you go.
We've got a ton of questions. I'm going to wrap up this question about Tampa, though. Okay. If you guys don't mind. So, guys, so Tampa is going to be April 3rd. That's Saturday. We don't know exactly where it's going to be yet, but it's going to be in Tampa. So there, when people say, where's the location? Tampa. We're currently scouting it out. We've got about a little over a week and a half or so. We'll end up doing it for like 2 or 3 hours. We'll probably get like a taco truck and just hang out. It's not going to be like a real estate, hey, come and learn how to do real estate type of thing. It's a come and network type of thing, right? So you guys are in Orlando, you're in West Palm, you're in other parts of Florida. Drive down to Tampa. Come hang out with us. We'd love to see you guys. You do not have to. Somebody asked, what if my friend I bring is brand new and doesn't even know, any of this stuff, wholesale, etc. Even better. Don't you wish, all of you guys, that when you first got into wholesale, somebody dragged your ass to a Tampa meetup on the beach? I sure wish I did. So, it does not matter at all. Bring everybody. We'd love. This is more of a wholesale hotline meetup than anything else. By the way, thanks for answering that question, guys. I think that's probably the most common question. Brent, what other questions do you get regarding virtual wholesaling you think we should highlight on before we jump into some questions?
Yeah, I think, one thing that always pops up, Pace, and Jamil, you can fill us in just from your experience of spreading out, is how long does it take you to understand the market, right? Because this is very common. I'm gonna get out of Phoenix. I'm gonna go to Salt Lake or something. I'm gonna go to Vegas. I'm gonna go to some other market, and all of a sudden you lock up these deals, and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I hit it! This is it! This is the jackpot! I did it! I finally cracked the code. Nobody's here. I'm gonna make a fortune." And then you have to cancel all those because there's no buyers, and all your buyers say, "You locked that up way too high. You don't understand the market. Here, we need this and this and this and this and this." So, in my opinion, it takes, when you go into a new market, it takes about 6 months to feel comfortable with understanding the comparables. That doesn't mean you can't do deals. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't go into a new market and you're going to be broke for 180 days. That's not what I'm saying, but it's going to take you longer to start figuring out that market, to start getting some of those bigger returns on your deals. Jamil, what do you think?
I agree. I mean, I think you can probably get that done a little faster depending on how many homes you're looking at. But 6 months is fair. You know, let's be conservative. Let's give ourselves time to understand. Guys, there's nuances in every market, right? Even if you come into Phoenix, if you don't understand what a historic district is, you could overpay or underpay dramatically on a house. Imagine if a rehabber came into Phoenix and someone was showing them comps and they showed them a comp from a historic district, and then one street over they had a house for them that was outside the historic district. That'd be $100,000 loss for that buyer, right? So these are the nuances that you need to learn about in a market. And I think Brent's absolutely correct. It takes 6 months-ish to be able to get that all understood. When we first went into Vegas, and this isn't when Thomas went to Vegas, this is when we were all Keegley back in the day, and we tried to get into Vegas first. And the first thing we did was start locking up deals. Mm-hmm. And because we didn't understand the market, we didn't understand the buyers, we did it wrong. We ended up canceling deals and hurting ourselves and wasting a bunch of money and having to regroup and realize what the mistake was. Now that mistake led us to understanding the whole methodology behind franchising, and we've got it figured out now. But Brent's absolutely right, guys.
So this brings up a question. Okay, really, really good question. Somebody actually popped this up on the screen. Jamil, I'm going to leave you up as the highlight, and then we'll go to Brent. Anna Tanner says, that's what happened to me. I tried a virtual market and failed miserably. Okay, so this is my third question. Number one, first question was, how do I choose a virtual market? You guys answered that incredibly well. Second thing that we talked on is, how long does it take to figure that out? Now, third question I have is, should I start virtual before I work my backyard?
No.
No, go ahead, Jamil. Yeah.
No. Why? Why are you so scared of your backyard? What's wrong with where you live? I think where you live is a great place. You know it. You understand it. You know where the cool spots are. You know where the not so cool spots are. You know where there's a lot of activity. You know where there's people just doing nothing. You know where it's barren. You know where it's dope. I mean, honestly, guys, it always surprises me when people want to leave where they live. I mean, you can get out and show a house. You can get out and take pictures. You can do all of that stuff. You can go meet a seller. There's so many things you can do. Shake hands with realtors. Go in and network. Go to networking.
Host a meetup. Like, you're hurting yourself from being able to do all of the amazing things that you can do networking wise by not working in your own backyard. A lot of that is fear. It's people not wanting to be seen by their friends and family and neighbors that they're in this business in their area, because they still want to remain hidden. They still want to keep this whole entrepreneur thing a secret. So I've got a student that completely believes in everything that you just said. He virtually wholesales, he virtually markets, but everything in his backyard is driving for dollars, referrals, probate attorneys, real estate agents, etc. He's in the Hamptons of New York. So for him, he's like, yo, it's a really high price point. So I'm going to do more of a referral based business and understand the people in my market, go to meetups, host meetups, all that kind of stuff. And then I'll virtually wholesale outside of that. What are your thoughts on that? He's kind of doing the best of both worlds.
Brent?
Love it. Listen, here's the thing. Like, anybody that I work with in Seattle, Portland, San Diego, San Francisco, Napa Valley, some markets in New York and Miami, I say, listen, if you're not hitting the streets and finding those ugly properties that are boarded up and looking terrible, then you're just wasting time. You need to get out and you need to get those. You need to go after land. You need to go after vacant land in those areas. Every single time I say that, my students go out in San Diego or Seattle, they find some land that's zoned multifamily, zoned commercial, and they make a fortune on it. All right. There is opportunity everywhere. Now, if you love a lot of action, if you don't like doing a deal once every 90 days, if you want to sprinkle in some more wins and some more income, then choose a secondary market. Right? Choose a secondary market where you can go after those absentee owners. You can go after the vacant properties. You can go after some of the pre-foreclosures and code violations and probates and inherited and go after all that. That's great. But laser focus. And the beautiful thing is in those major markets, guys, the average deal size is like $50,000. You know what I mean? It's like, great. And that's what I wanted to bring up and kind of piggyback on this question, if you don't mind, Pace, is like, do you go for, if you live in a small town, do you go for bigger? If you want to do virtual, do you want to go after the bigger markets so that you make more? Or if you work in or do you go after the smaller ones and just go after a lot of them and get a lot of deals, but they're just less? You know what I mean? You make less on each one. What do you think, Jamil? Would you rather get bigger deals that are less, or it's more of an and, honestly, but as people are just getting started, do you think it's better to start and get them some wins with some smaller properties that you make like 5 to 7K a deal, or go after the big boys and get a big check and get rolling?
I think let's go back to the beginning of the episode here where you talked about momentum.
Yep.
Right? You aren't going to get momentum easily by trying to, slaughter massive wildebeest. You want to go and get some doves first. You want to go eat some
rabbits.
Get some rabbits. Go eat a couple of little burgers. Have a good day with it. If you can prove the concept to yourself and you can get comfortable with the mechanisms of what this business model is, and you'll start to understand the conversations you'll be having, you'll start to understand the players in the game and what it all looks like. And you do that more and more and more and more and more, guess what? You start to become an expert. And it's okay if you're an expert at doing $5,000 deals. I built a huge company doing that. Come on, right? Like that's all we do is volume, right? We very rarely hit a grand slam. It happens, but it's rare.
Love it.
That is one of the challenges in this business and any business, is that you can go about it any which way, right? Your personality is going to dictate what gives you energy. And part of that is what I mean specifically is that there's a market we're in Indiana, Fort Wayne, Indiana, where the sellers are just simply not highly educated about what wholesale real estate is. Whereas here in Arizona, when you talk to a seller, a lot of times the seller will say, "Are you a wholesaler?" Right? It's so well known what a wholesaler is in our specific market and a couple other really high competitive markets. There are some advantages and disadvantages to bigger and smaller markets, right? So Jamil, you alluded to it early. Actually, you didn't allude to it. You specifically hit it right on the head. If you go to a bigger market, you're going to have way more buyers and activity to actually sell your deals to. However, it's going to be highly competitive compared to a Fort Wayne, Indiana. But what's the downfall to a Fort Wayne, Indiana? You might not have a tremendous amount of buyers. You're not going to have a 50,000 person buyers list in Fort Wayne, Indiana. So you have to choose what do you prefer? Do you prefer to be the person that is locking up contracts in an easier fashion? Or do you, and in that situation, you're stressed out when you get a contract because you're like, oh my gosh, now I need a buyer? Or would you rather be in like a Phoenix or a Dallas or a Miami or something along those lines where you get a contract and people are clamoring over you to get those deals? What do you want? Now, I would say in those heavily competitive markets, the spreads are I don't know. I mean, I feel like it kind of depends on the wholesale business, but our spreads are a little bit tighter in our more competitive markets like Phoenix and Orlando. What are your thoughts on that, Jamil?
Yeah, I mean, just looking at it based off of our numbers, absolutely, you're right. The spreads are definitely smaller. It's more competitive. There's more people out there trying to lock those deals up. So there's price pressure, upwards. All that's true. But again, I still like to be where the action is, and there's comments in here where people are saying they disagree, go for the big bore, try to, if you're the same amount of time and effort. I disagree that it's the same amount of time and effort, because I've seen a lot of people come to me with these big deals and they're like, hey, Jamil, I got this big deal. Do you, since you're the dispo guy, do you know anybody that'll buy it? And here's what I say is, there are a handful of Americans that can stroke checks that big. Honestly, there's not a lot of them, right? And there's not a lot of them that are going to stroke a check that big buying from you, who they've never met before. So why would you want to spend all that time trying to do a deal like that when you could just get into the action where everybody's there trading paper, trading contracts, doing deals daily? I mean, maybe I'm just biased because that's where
I don't think you're biased, bro. I think you just know the stats, right? So this is not a personal opinion. These are really good stats, because not only can you do wholesale deals faster, you can do co-wholesale deals way faster in a bigger market.
Yep.
Right? There's wholesalers that need help offloading their deals. And so you guys do Keegley does a tremendous service, or provides a tremendous service to people. And so you guys know the areas and the markets you want to go into, because there's so much activity and there's value to play there. So if you are a wholesaler and you're looking to co-wholesale and maybe piggyback off each other's deals by providing value back and forth, man, same thing for me. Like in Phoenix, Arizona, when I first learned how to close sellers at a very efficient way, in a very efficient way, it was easy for me to JV with people in Phoenix. Why? Because I simply said, take me on your appointment, right? That was the level of value that I provided for all the people in Phoenix, Arizona. I was just saying, anybody want me to pull up to their appointment, I'll help you close your deal. I'll close your deal twice. I'm twice as likely, 3 times as likely to close your deals. And so for a guy like me, a big market with a ton of activity all day long personally, because then I can leverage every relationship any which way. And I can go in there and start locking up deals and helping wholesalers who might be struggling with their sales process. You could drop me in a big market right now. I'd have a line of 50 appointments set up from other wholesalers.
Here's a question that I hear a lot. How do you do this when the market's so hot and people are willing to pay retail? Well, first off, not every seller is looking for a retail buyer. Secondly, a lot of these wholesale deals that we do are on properties that are in condition where a retail buyer wouldn't even be able to get financing on this property, because there's the condition of the house isn't financeable. And then third, you're not looking for that buyer. You're not looking for that seller, right? This is a limiting thought process, my friend. You absolutely can do deals all over the place. You just have to open your mind up to the possibility that not every seller is looking for a retail offer. It's very true.
Yeah, and I think, with that retail, I think what Kev is mentioning there is that you can push the values in these hotter markets, in these bigger markets, right? Yep. We just did that one that we made a really nice spread on, and that's because we sold it to somebody that wants to live there. You know what I mean? You see that more and more and more common. And if anybody on here watching this live or the recording or listening to this podcast, if you're in one of these major markets where the like Denver, geez, that's going crazy. Arizona's appreciated 11% this quarter, guys. 11. Do you see Jared Vidal's post that? 11% this. I'm just saying right now, in these markets where there's 15 offers on every single property, there is a unique advantage that you have for finding these deals, even if they're close to retail, and seeing if you've got a buyer for it, seeing if you've got somebody that's willing to go after that deal. And you can push the values there. And I like doing big, massive deals. I like doing big deals. That's why I like the major market. So if you're in a major market, congrats. But guess what? I'm also in Flagstaff. has 80,000 people. I'm also in Prescott. It has 60,000 people. I'm even in the armpit of Arizona, Tucson, right? And that's got 150,000 people or whatever. But guys, I'm not going to go to Ajo, right? I'm not going to go to, some old mining town and start, chopping it up there. I want to get these big deals here, and you can play around with it. So I think really what we're I think what we're really saying is it's an and for everybody that's commenting on going after, and it's the same process. It's and if you feel like you need more action, then you need to get into some of those smaller markets where maybe the deals aren't as big, but you can do more of them and start just building up that rhythm to where instead of doing 6 deals this year, you do 20. And instead of doing 100,000, you do 135,000, and they're smaller deals, but you're still making more each year. So I think that's really important.
I've got a good question for you. So I've got a lot of students in Hawaii, an amazing student base in Hawaii. Jamil, you met a lot of you've met Tristan and Kamahai, who came out for my mastermind recently.
Fantastic people.
Amazing. Love those guys. So let's say I'm in Hawaii. They're like 3 hours later than us. Like it's like 5 o'clock in the morning right now, right?
Yeah.
So question, do you think that time zone really makes a difference? Because look at this question right here that Kevin's got on the screen, Brent.
Yeah.
What time is the latest time people should cold call and tell from experience?
That is a huge point. It really is. I think, listen, motivated sellers are motivated sellers. If they pick up the phone, as long as it's not 5 o'clock in the morning, if it's later in the evening, that's fine. I kind of have a rule of thumb with my phone prospectors and my coaching, which is if the sun's up, go for it. But if it's, if all you have is 6:30 to 8 o'clock every night to be able to make calls, then do it. You know what I mean? It's better than doing nothing. So don't let me just form an excuse for you right now. Okay. If you got to do it, you got to do it. You can still get deals when it's dark outside. But that does matter. If you're on the West Coast and you're calling in Florida, which we do, by the way, another little nuance to this is, listen to this. What if, and this is what we do, we get a list from somebody that has a great business in Florida. Okay. Great business. They send us the list. We skip trace it, call it, send them leads. We split deals 50-50. Imagine you sitting there. You've got somebody that you trust or somebody that you liked or somebody that you squatted up with in the comments here, but you guys are on different sides of the world and you don't necessarily understand the whole process, or you kind of need some help going through your first few deals. What if you got a list from somebody and maybe it's already skip trace? Maybe they haven't called. What if you called that list? It's very similar to what we talked about last week about adopting the dead leads from somebody else. Get a list in somebody else's market, call them up and split that deal 50-50. That's an option there as well. So just something to think about there. That's what we do in Port St. Lucie with Tom Kroll and Todd Toback.
I'm just gonna piggyback off that and do the flip side. I'm not gonna say the name because I don't want to get anyone in trouble, but a very, very prominent agent that I know who might be number one in the United States, she prospects at 7 a.m.
Yeah.
She starts at 7 a.m. Even though that's an hour early, she starts at 7 a.m. because she finds that she's able to get people on the phone that early. And a lot of them are just surprised that the phone's even ringing at that time. They answer because they don't want to wake up the entire house.
Mm-hmm. The truth is she's being very reasonable about it. There's people that start at 5:45.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
For expired and canceled listings in the real estate business. Yeah.
My feeling on what times to call is this. If I live on the East Coast, I feel like you have a tremendous advantage, especially if you have a 9 to 5 job, because you get home at, let's say, 5 o'clock. It's only 2 o'clock in Arizona, right? So if I'm an East Coaster and I'm choosing a market, go back to the first question we talked about tonight, guys. How do I choose a virtual market? Well, why don't you start with your time zone, right? Because we're really addressing people that are, a lot of people on this crew or in this chat. We've got over 300 live viewers. How many of those people, guys, I'd love to see how many of the live viewers have not gotten their first deal yet. And if you haven't gotten your first deal yet, you really got to find a place that makes it as easy as possible. And sometimes if you're from the Mississippi East, you have a pretty good advantage calling the West Coast, right? You have a couple of extra hours. You can get home from your job at 5, kiss the kids, maybe even have some dinner. At 7 o'clock in Miami or Florida, it's 4 o'clock in Arizona. You could call till 10 o'clock your time, 7 o'clock our time. So our time that we will call up until, our team is instructed 7 o'clock at night is when we stop calling, unless it's a follow-up call that the seller says, yeah, go ahead and call me after 7:30 or 8 o'clock at night. But we stop cold calling at 7 o'clock.
Love it.
So now if you're in Florida, if you're in the West Coast, you still have a pretty amazing advantage as well, right? If you get up early or you can change your time zone to adjust where you're calling. Ring that bell for CC, bro.
Come on, CC.
Love it. CC says she closed a $20,000 deal with her partner. Dude, I've got a student right now making $500,000 on a deal. $500,000. I've got another student on a creative finance deal making $250,000. Freaking unbelievable what is going on in real estate right now. If you guys are not crushing it in real estate, oh my gosh, good thing you are here. So
how did they get those deals?
So April Giuliano, the girl in Jacksonville, is making the $500,000. She got that direct to seller. And it was a seller that has this home. She's in foreclosure. She doesn't know what to do. So April is buying the house subject to fixing it and then flipping it on the retail market. So she's
how did she find her?
Direct to seller.
Was it mail? Was it text? Was it call?
Sorry, cold call. I knew I was talking to the TTP, man, and I just knew that direct to seller just meant calling her.
Yeah, I know. But I just gotta, make it like people are like, wait a second. She must have done it. It's a once in a million. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity that she could ever make that. It happens every week. It happens every week. The deal of a lifetime comes around once a week. Robert Kiyosaki has been saying that since like 1997, wearing slacks and a tucked in polo and just, you know what I mean? Like, I'm telling you, the deal of a lifetime, it's a good deal for her. She's actually doing a Zoom. This time last year, she was homeless. She's doing a Zoom for my sub 2 students this week. Come on.
Yeah. She was homeless. She was homeless this time last year. She was living in somebody's garage doing cold calling, standing in their garage cold calling because they had lost everything, right? They had lost everything. So David, you guys can see on the screen, says, Pace, tell them about Noah and Ty. This is the cool thing about mentorships is that you get to meet amazing people in these groups, right? The most important part of a mentorship, in my opinion, is the community, right?
100%.
So David, who obviously knows other students in our programs, like, did you tell him about Noah and Ty? I don't just teach creative finance. I teach my business in a box. So we do a little bit of fixing and flipping. We do a little bit of development. We do a little bit of wholesale. But Noah and Ty just both made $91,000 each on a wholesale deal. And they met in the program and they JV'd the deal together. I've got students making $100,000, $200,000 a month doing nothing but JVing deals with each other. And I bring that up primarily, guys, because I love seeing the comments on the side where everybody's squatting up and saying, hey, DM me and hey, do this. That is why we made this show. The original and still to this day tagline and motto of the show is squad up.
Yeah, I put this up, Pace, because I'm curious myself.
Oh, sorry. There you go.
Did you see that?
Yes, I'm doing one right now. If a property is 50% equity, can I sub to the mortgage for a seller finance for the equity? Yes, it's called a hybrid, right? So it's half sub to, half seller finance. I got a deal right now in Georgia that I'm buying. Sub to mortgage I'm taking over is like 150. The seller finance portion is like 120. I'm giving the seller $0 down towards his equity. And what is the interest rate he's seller financing his equity at?
0%.
0.0. So when we have a 40%,
you're saying that every payment that you make goes directly towards the principal?
Yeah. So I make 2 payments in this situation, right? I have an existing sub 2 mortgage. So I make my payment to the mortgage and then I make an additional payment to the seller for his equity, which is $300 on a $120,000 seller finance piece of equity. So absolutely, if you know how to negotiate, you know how to talk to sellers. Like, for example, somebody asked me in my DMs today, hey, what do you say to a seller that says, why would I sell to you on seller finance? What happens if you don't make the payments? And I said, well, you just don't know how to reply to him. And he's like, well, this is what I said. I was like, oh my gosh, that's so bad. The thing you say to the seller in that situation is, seller says, hey, Brent, why would, what happens if the mortgage, what happens if you don't make my mortgage? What happens? My reply to that is, Brent, that's the best thing that could happen to you if I don't make those payments. And let me tell you 5 reasons why.
You're caught up. Look at all this pay down. Look at all, right? I mean, you go through the whole thing.
Right. You take the property over. I have a way of structuring these where you don't have to foreclose on me. You just take the property back. You have a mortgage pay down. You collected payments. You might even have, I might have even renovated the property. Right. Tons of stuff. It's the best thing that could happen to you. And I actually did a deal 3 or 4 years ago where the seller, when I was explaining this to her, she says, so maybe what I do is I sell the house to you on sub 2, and then you rent it out to a tenant, and I'm going to go sprinkle scorpions all over the house so your tenant moves out of the house, and then you can't cash flow and I get the house back, right? And I'm like, yeah, I guess, like, please don't do that. But yeah, technically that could happen. So no, don't do that to me. She's like, okay, I'm going to sprinkle scorpions on the house. Like, once a seller understands that it's not a bad thing, it's actually a good thing for that to happen, you can convince a seller to do just about anything you need in order to buy that property. By the way, guys, look at the screen while I'm highlighted. Emily Voigt. Okay, is it Voigt or Vaught?
Vaught.
I'm sorry, Emily. I know Emily. I see her frequently. She is on Jamil's team. She's amazing. She says, please subscribe to Jamil's channel. He is doing an amazing brand, by the way. I freaking love your ability to brand stuff, but it's straight out of comping. We get a lot of people on this show in the comments right now, like, please comp this property. Please comp this property. Guys, all you need to do is show up to Straight Outta Comping on Jamil's show on Wednesday. What time, Jamil?
2 p.m. PST. And we'll comp anything for you.
You have the best names. I was going to do a segment on my live show on Wednesday called Sir Comps a Lot, right? Dressed like like a British, knight. Now I just look like an asshole. You're like this, you're walking around looking like Eazy-E out there, and I'm looking like, some idiot from Monty Python. So I'm like, well, I got to scrap that. And by the way, guys, let me see, Jamil, Wednesday, I'm doing a whole show on Deal or No Deal on Wednesday. Will you join me at 11? Do you have time at 11 on Wednesday to hop on?
Yeah, bro.
Either live or virtual, doesn't matter, your choice. Sure. And we'll break down some good stuff. Okay, good. So everybody, guys, join us Wednesday. It is 10 o'clock Pacific time is the live show. We're going to be breaking down Deal or No Deal, going through a lot of comping, and not only comping, but you know what I think is important, Jamil? I think the missing ingredient is, you understand how to comp to offer what?
Right.
What are you going to offer? Where is that? As we call it, MAO, the max allowable offer, right? Where is that? What can you offer? And what are you expecting to make on these things? And are there different strategies for different properties? It's going to be absolutely incredible. I hope that everybody on here, over 300 people, join us for that. It'll be absolutely bananas. But I'll tell you this real quick, just to plug this, guys, I don't know if it's going to be quarterly or whatever it is for you guys, Pace and Jamil, but Jamil put on the most intense, most real wholesaling mastermind of all that I've ever seen. And it wasn't just these little, tactics and everything. It was mindset. It was foundation. It was literally like a copy of Jamil's business in a box, and he's the number one in the country. So if you even get the opportunity, I know it's not a low ticket thing, but if you get the opportunity to get into that group, to get into that mastermind, you absolutely have to. It's banana. It's not even close. Nothing's even close, in my opinion. And I'm a coach. I'll coach mine on getting, and talking to people and getting deals and getting it going. But what Jamil talks about is taking that, once you've built that business, really scaling, really building it, really doing something special with it. So phenomenal. I couldn't be more impressed. I highly suggest it to everybody. Mark it on your calendar. If you see it coming out, there's limited. I'm sure it's limited. Make sure you guys see that. And again, that's from the wholesaling side. You guys all know, I think everybody knows, the Pace is the creative finance guy. You're going to get 3 days of the absolute best with that. So either one of those is phenomenal. This is the Wholesale Hotline. So I just want to point that out. But nothing. If I had that when I was starting out, Jamil, bro,
game over.
Bro, you would be like, dude, stop taking all my business.
if you know,
I'm just saying, I'm serious.
Funny though, like it, you know, Brent, you're so amazing. You've shown so many people how to really break in and do this business at the best level. And truly, there's such a synergy between your students, my students, and Pace's students. They all work together in so many. Like Brent Daniels' TTP students have dead leads, right? They've got dead leads that they don't know what to do with. Why aren't they squatting up with Pace Morby's creative finance students and letting them call those dead leads for them so they can convert them into sub-2 deals to wholesale?
Yep.
Right? Brent Daniels has all these guys cold calling, locking up these seller direct deals that they need help selling. They're connecting with Astro students to get those deals out and moved. You know, the synergy between our three brands and what we teach is just so phenomenal. And I couldn't be happier to be sandwiched between you two amazing gentlemen.
And just full disclosure, we're not on the same label. We're not on the same company. No. There's no like back and forth financially in this. This is just a true. I've seen it all. I've been to every seminar. I've been to every mastermind. I've seen it all. I'm telling you, it's incredible. I mean, it is. The people that go to that are going to be 3 years ahead of everybody. I truly believe that. Once
I do
building it up.
I do financially benefit from people joining TTP.
What's that?
I do financially benefit from people joining TTP because I buy a lot of deals from TTP students.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
true.
Great. Like if
TTPs are coaching, it's a mentorship. This mastermind, I'm telling you, and I encourage it to anybody in TTP that's ready to take it to the next level. I mean, it's both of you guys, obviously, but Wholesale Hotline, you guys get it. Anyway, there you go. Let's get some more. What about this, Jamil? What about, when you get or Pace, when you guys get an opportunity in a different market, how do you get boots on the ground? How do you get face to face? How do you get knee to knee? How do you get belly to belly? How does that happen? Because I've got it already set up. I'm already working with established companies. I send them the leads and they close it. They sell it to their buyers. They do everything and we split the deal 50-50. But how do you guys do it when it's a virtual deal and somebody wants to meet with some human? Maybe they don't, but how do you handle that?
Pace? Oh, so
go ahead, Jamil.
Well, first off, if it's somebody in my community, they can squat up with somebody in the program. So if an Astro student gets a lead in Iowa and they need somebody to go out and look at it, well, I know Wesley Estrada is available and he'll go out and take pictures and meet with the seller and do a professional job and he'll JV on the deal with them. So the squat up mentality is not only just a thought process, but it's actually a profitable methodology to do deals, right? You start to learn and respect people. For instance, if I need somebody to go out and look at a deal for me in California, wouldn't I want to talk to one of my students or a real awesome wholesaler like Scott Oots? I'd reach out to somebody like that and say, hey, help me out. I've got this lead out there. I'm not local. Can you go handle it for me and do the deal with them? And so I'll always just leverage my relationships and leverage the community that I'm in and work it that way. I think, websites like Fiverr and TaskRabbit and whatnot are okay, but you're really sending a rando to do a job that might need more finesse.
Yeah, can I jump on that? So I'm a TTP student. I'm an Astro student. I'm also a student of I still pay for coaching courses on specific things, right? Like I just paid for a coaching course on taxes last year, $25,000 for a 1 month coaching course. Like I believe in the education, but more important than anything else, the cost of the programs is the price that I pay. I get back immediately, not even from the coaching or the coach themselves, but from the network that has been trained the same exact cohesive way. So I know that if I need to co-wholesale a deal in Austin, I know where to go. I go to my Astro Flipping Facebook group and I go, guys, I got a deal, right? Or if I want to buy a deal and I want to co-wholesale with somebody, I want to buy a deal from somebody, I'm probably going to go to TTP and I'm going to go to my Facebook group with TTP. Who's got a deal for me, right? I'm going to network that way. For me, it's the same thing for us. We wanted to build a big community around creative finance because I was doing creative finance in multiple markets. And I was like, how do I build the best damn community on planet Earth all around creative finance? And that's what we've done. Now I don't have to worry about, hey, I need somebody to go knock on this lady's door. She's not answering the phone. Or, hey, this title company needs something dropped off. Or, hey, my contractors are having a problem. I can send out a message and I know everybody. Right? I know everybody to a point where I could call on them and they've been trained the same way. And more important than that, they have a go-giver mentality, right? Our communities have a go-giver mentality. So for me, that's how I accomplish doing stuff virtually is I reach out to my students or I reach out to my network or peers that I've taken other coaching programs in. That's an easy way to do it. I don't use TaskRabbit. But I understand why people do, right? There's budgetary reasons why people would use TaskRabbit, but that's not really an issue. So for me, it's all about getting the best of the best people to touch my stuff instead of, as Jamil would put it, a rando.
Love it. You want to comp a property, Jamil?
Yeah, let's go.
Can you pull up batchleads.io/squat up?
Let's do it.
I want to look at this. This is a great, and I think this is important because you'll see why. Nicola, one of my TTP guys, sent me this, and let me know when you're up and running.
Do you mind if I talk while he pulls that up real quick? Yep. I have a question in here. There's really, really good question right here. David Bowie. How do you determine a lease option or subject to? So, David, I just want to do a completely non-shameless plug. This is a full-on shameful plug. I am self-serving right now. I have a podcast. We usually get about 400 to 500 live viewers every single Sunday night at 7 p.m. Arizona time. And all we talked about last night were lease options. For an hour and 45 minutes, we talked about nothing but lease options. This coming Sunday, we're going to be talking about depreciation and how Cody Barton and myself made millions of dollars in our business and didn't pay any money in taxes. Now, I pay consumption tax. I pay, if I buy a stick of gum, I pay tax. If I buy something, I pay tax. I have employment tax. I have all that kind of stuff. But income tax, I didn't pay any. So if you guys have creative finance questions, Sunday service is on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Pace Morby, every Sunday, 7 p.m. And people ask me, last thing I'm going to say, Jamil, I'll let you take over. Why, Pace, did you choose to do it on Sunday? And I said, well, because my buddies are all doing amazing podcasts throughout the week and I don't want to miss them. And so I chose my podcast on the one day nobody else was doing it. So Sunday, 7 p.m., we do it. It's non-religious, but it is called Sunday service.
And brother, it's not religious, but bro, are you ever serving?
Oh, it's great.
You are serving the people, my friend.
All right. So I texted this address to Jamil. All right.
Jamil, full screen your browser.
Yeah. Full screen that baby.
Okay. Sorry.
Because everybody can see how organized your desktop is.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
that is absolute anarchy.
So it's a 3-bed, 1-bath, built in 1940. This house is 1,798 square feet. Batch's algorithm believes it's worth $255, but that doesn't mean much. We have no MLS information. Okay, cool. So what do we got? Here we are. Here's our subject. What I noticed is that there is not a lot of comparables available near where our subject is. We are still in the same, general area, but I want to go back a little bit more just to see if I can find something closer. So let's just change some parameters here and see what I got. If I can pull up anything a little bit closer to our subject.
Hey, Jamil, as you're pulling that up, I'm getting a lot of comments, literally like 15, 20 comments on the side between YouTube and Facebook streams. By the way, guys, we are about 350 viewers today. So thank you so much for showing up. Really appreciate you guys. Darren, handful of people talking about PropStream and Batch. You can see Darren saying, we replaced PropStream with Batch Leads a couple of months ago. Their comping tool went live. Now, PropStream's great. Batch Leads is great. It's a personal thing. Okay. It's a personal thing, but we are right now comping on Batch Leads. So if anybody's looking for a new tool, batchleads.io/squad up, and you get all sorts of perks and benefits for signing up with that code. The perk and benefit I get is we make like $5 on it. So I can take Brent and Jamil out to like Del Taco. So do us a favor, use the code squad up.
So first things first, let's just talk about the elephant in the room, and that is this location, right? Look where this location is. Here is what I believe to be the front street of the house, and the backyard is literally the freeway. Okay.
Jamil, the house is actually underneath that logo. You zoom in a little bit more. Can you get a little tighter? There's the house.
It's not even this.
Nope.
It's this. No, it's not. Brent, it's got to be this. It's got to be both. It's got to be both. There's no access to it otherwise.
There's a drive there's a street right there in front of it.
Wow, it's this thing right here.
Yes, sir.
This thing is 1798 square feet.
Apparently. Can you pull the little guy on there? Is it a 2-story?
We usually can tell, but it's not showing us that.
Can you do a little Google Street view of it? Can you pull that guy right in front of the house?
Yeah, let's see.
No, you can do it right there on that map. The little guy's down at the bottom.
The little guy's at the bottom?
Yeah.
Where's the guy?
Scroll down a little bit. There he is. See him? Little yellow guy? Yep. Pull him up there. There you go.
Oh, how cute. I didn't even know you could do this.
Come on, player.
Wow. All right.
So you got to go behind that house, I think.
So this is the house here, right?
Nope.
It's behind this one.
Yep.
Ew.
Let's see. Go all the way. Go deep. Go deep. There it is. There's the house.
This is it.
That's it.
Oh my Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Right, that's the front door right here.
Yep.
It's a 2-story.
Yep.
Incredible.
How much of a discount because of the location? Let's start there.
I mean, honestly, first off, let's just see if we can find something that is even close to that. But I would go as far as to say that this would be about 60% of the value of what this would be over here, just based off of where this is. I mean, I'm literally next door neighbor to the freeway.
Yeah.
I can't even drive up to my house here, right? I've got to go through the elephant graveyard to get to my front door. This is incredible. I've never seen anything like that before. I didn't even know that they built houses in people's backyards like that, and it's not even a guest house. But let's look at numbers now, right?
Yep.
Brent, thank you for making me look at it that way. That was incredible.
No, I wanted to pull this up because I thought it was really interesting because he was Nicola, sent this to me. He's doing a phenomenal job. He's been going at it about 2 weeks. I mean, he sends me a new lead every day to take a look at, and this one is tricky because it's missing so much. And he says basically that the owner says that it's a tear down.
Yeah, I would call that a tear down. I would call that a tear down for sure. So Brent, let's call it a tear down. Okay, let's call it a tear down.
Can we pop up on the screen so people can see us? I don't know how we do that. Whoa.
Let's call it a tear down.
Okay.
let's call it a tear down, because what I can see over there is that you've got some sales at on the high point. You've got some sales at around 300 grand.
Right.
Now, judging by the location, let's say that you could build a $300,000 house, and let's make the deductions for its location. Okay.
Yep.
If we have a $300,000 house just based off of square footage and whatnot, that means that the land would need to be bought for about 25% of that. So 300,000 divided by 4 is about 75 grand.
Yep.
Now I want to take about 60% of that, because I don't think I'm actually going to build a $300,000 house. I think I'm going to build 60% of $300,000 house because of this janky location. So if I'm your student, I'd want to buy that for about 45, 50 grand max.
Yep. You know, it's interesting. He sent that to me and I was at the gym and I pulled it up on Google Maps. I literally just hit the thing like I sent to you. And he said, it's a tear down. I said, well, what are things going for? He said, 300. I said, you got to be under 60.
Yeah.
You got to be under 60. And by the way, that's high. They want 179,000 for that house.
They want 179,000 for that house. Yeah, of course they do.
Yeah.
I also want a unicorn for a pet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. That was great. That was great. And I think, listen, guys, that's the tool. I mean, you need to have one of these comping tools. You know, the interesting thing about Zillow and relying on that these days, it's good and it's fast and you don't have to pay for it and it's easy and you can do it, but you can dig in a lot more and really find some interesting information out if you're using batch leads. You know, you get to know what's owed on the property. You got to know if there's liens on the property. You get to get a feel of where those comps are, and it pops up and it shows you. You know, Zillow is kind of like a casino. They want you to stay in there, so they don't show you where all the comps are. They just kind of give you an overall value on it, and then you have to go in and kind of figure it out from there. So, yeah, if you're serious about, I mean, everybody on here is serious, I would get that tool for sure. Anyway, that's fun, right? So that's what Jamil and I are going to do a little bit on Wednesday. It's going to be really great. And then from there, the breakdown, you know, obviously the reason that Jamil said 25% off of the 300,000, if you could build a new house, is that's kind of the land value. Right. Builders want to buy it 20 to 25%, depending on the location of what the new build is going to go for. But, you know, there might be a little bit of play there, Nicola, if you want to go in. If they're willing to go super low, you might be able to sell that lot off to the neighbor in front of it and just say, hey, listen, do you want nothing crazy being built behind you? Do you want something that isn't going to get broken into and, you know, shenanigans going on in your backyard, literally their backyard, right? They have a house in their backyard, Jamil.
How uncomfortable would I be if that house was in my backyard?
Oh my gosh.
Like, honestly, right? I'd always feel like there was these looming meth heads behind me all the time. I couldn't do it. I could never do it.
No. Yep.
Anna,
Awesome.
I am not eating Chex Mix. I am eating blueberries, and I'm very sorry I only eat once a day, and this is like my eating time. So I apologize. I am eating blueberries.
Why do you eat once a day?
It's his feeding time.
He's like a I don't know. What's an animal that eats once? I guess all animals eat once a day, huh? He's like a lion. There you go. A tiger.
I only eat once a day because I've learned as I've gotten older that if I eat in the morning, I get lethargic, I start doing whatever. But when I don't eat, I have all the energy. It's like untapped, amazing lava flow of energy. And then I eat at nighttime with my family. So I choose to, you know, sometimes Sundays, sometimes Saturdays, I'll eat twice a day. But for the most part, I eat once a day.
Also, can we just comment on how svelte Pace's face is?
Dang, you mean with that thick beard?
Thick beard? You guys have noticed my wife is not a big fan of how thick and long this is. I'm like pulling at it so long.
You look great, dude. I love it.
I can't. Hey, listen, I can't grow a beard, so I'm gonna have to be the fresh-faced one in this group. Okay, guys. Sorry, I got those old, like, I don't know, British and Irish genes that don't grow beards. I don't know. I wish I could. I think I'd look good. Beards are like the Spanx for men, right? Makes you look nice and tight.
Oh yeah, that's actually a good point.
Yeah. If I didn't have a beard, guys, you'd see like 9 chins.
Come on. Anyway, all right, good. Well, that's I like doing that. That was a lot of fun. That was good. What else from a virtual standpoint, guys? What are we missing? Anybody else have some questions about?
I would say, how do I make sure that I have the right title company? How do I make sure I have the right closing attorney? You know, what are the right steps to do that? Because it's not just about locking up the deal, right? So Jamil, let's talk about this from a virtual standpoint. One for you, and then I'll go to Brent. One, is it any different finding buyers in a virtual market?
No, it's the same. And if I was looking to find out what closing attorney or title company I should use, I would, first things first, I would use I'd go to constantclose.com and I'd hook up with Rochelle, because she's already made connections with the most workable title company that you can even that exists in that marketplace. She's all over the country. I would pay the money to I would pay the money to work with Rochelle on that deal. I'd make a relationship with that title company, and then if you didn't use her again on the second, that is what it is, right? But I would at least let her open the door.
Yep.
That's what I do.
Yep.
Speaking of beards, remember
that chin strap, man. I would have still had that.
I miss it.
If it wasn't for that one comment that guy made on a post I did. What did he say? I had my chin strap and he said, "Oh, wow, look, it looks like Jamil's double chin is growing its own beard."
oh man, just throwing flames at you.
I know, the internet's terrible.
Well, I'll be honest. I like the new improved Regal Jamil. I do. I like it. This is more. Yeah, that's the face. That's the face. Anyway. Fantastic.
So Cherie 99 says, how do I choose which market to wholesale in? For instance, there are several factors I should consider. So Cherie, such a great question. It was literally the number one question we went through. So guys, as we stay live a longer period of time, more and more people tune in. So at the very beginning of the show, we probably had about 250 to 300 people. Now we're hovering between 350 and 400 people. So let me go through and talk about the questions that we've really done a deep dive on, so that you can go back. If you didn't catch everything, you can go back and watch this on either Brent's YouTube, Jamil's YouTube, or mine. Okay. Number one, how do I choose a virtual market? We went through that for about 20 minutes. Number two, how long does it take for me to understand that this is a market I should stay in? That's a crazy good question. Number three, should I do my backyard before I go virtual, or should I just go virtual right out of the gate? That was a great question we went over as well. Number four, time zone. Should I look at time zone and also the time I'm making calls as like a factor in this decision? How late do we call our sellers, and where we live in the country makes a big determination with that. And then number five, we just talked about it. Title companies, resources, how to leverage, how to find those out. Those are the five main questions. Now, we've answered 10 other questions besides that, but those are the five main ones. So if you are looking to get those answers, go back and rewatch the very beginning of the show. Ooh. David says, how long do you guys take to disposition if one of your students gave you a deal? Now, David, I don't typically disposition my students' deals. I typically buy my deals from my students. And the reason being is because my students are taught to do creative finance stuff. If they're doing wholesale stuff, I teach my students to go to Keegley or through Jamil. Okay. Because they're way better at dispoing than I am nationwide. So I say, go with them. But on creative finance stuff, typically I'll buy those deals. It doesn't take any time at all, right? We just put the money together, we buy the deal. But that's a great question. Jamil and Brent, are you dispoing or doing any of that kind of stuff with your students?
Yeah, for me, mainly I plug them into the franchises, because unless it's a deal in Phoenix, right? But again, in Phoenix, we see everything. And so it's a little harder for people to really hand me a deal that I don't already have a finger on or I haven't seen. But otherwise, Keegley Dispo has been doing an amazing job. We refer everybody we can to there because they take care of them. They help them with numbers. They help them with comps. They help them with understanding if they should even do the deal or not. They'll buy the deal just like you do, Pace. They'll actually buy the deal from a student. So it's awesome.
So while you're on that topic, Keegley Dispo is in the comments, guys. I don't know which YouTube channel she's on, but her name is Madison. She's lovely. She's smart. She runs the Keegley Dispo Instagram. So get to know them. Easy way to reach out to them is go to Instagram, Keegley Dispo, and DM them. Madison is the name of the gal that runs that. You can see, she just said, hey, David, we focus on Dispo. Let's squad up. So that's typically what we do. I refer it to the professionals. The same thing with Constant Close, transaction coordinating. Constant Close came from my mentorship, and we decided to do it nationwide and to help everybody out. And we just send people over to Constant Close to get your transaction coordination done, your contracts, which title company, all that kind of stuff. And if you guys don't know what the hell any of that is and why you would need a transaction coordinator, go to the Rochelle Jarvis episode of Wholesale Hotline at the beginning of the year.
So good.
It's one of the most viewed wholesale hotlines that we've had in the last year.
Yep.
Amazing one. Samuel Kemp says, I have 2 properties under contract. The seller wants to close on both on the same day. I have assigned one that needs to close this week, but another month from the second. How do I convince the seller? I don't quite understand what he's saying.
Because the first thing he says is that the seller wants to close on both on the same day, but he's assigned. I don't understand why you're.
I see. He's saying
He needs another
buyer on
month
the
for
second
the other
one. Yeah, his buyer on the second deal won't be able to close for another month.
Another month. Oh.
What I would do is I would go to your seller and I would say, hey, my lender needs me to push back the closing on one of these deals because he has the money right now to close on one, but he's waiting for money for 30 days out where he can fund on the second one. I would come up with something about your lender needs a little bit more time to move money around to fund the second one.
Or find
another way to do it. What's that?
Or find a different buyer.
Find a different buyer. That's a good option. Another option would be, hey, you know what? It would really help me out if I could have my construction crew start on job number 1 and then 30 days later start on job number 2. Is that something that we could push back 30 days so I could close on the first, get my crew started, and then jump over on the second crew? Both of those are really good, logical, no BS type of things that you can tell a seller that would be real life scenarios that would benefit you and probably even benefit them to some degree.
I agree.
Great question, though. Brandon Mitchell, super smart guy, by the way. This is a good one. Jamil, why don't you talk about this, maybe doing JV deals with title companies and how you leverage your title company the same way Brandon does? Do you want to read this through and let everybody know this is a good strategy?
So Brandon Mitchell said, thank you for that information from Wednesday. I hit somewhere between 30 to 40 states. And now the title companies will personally send me their listings on a monthly basis. So I'm a little confused with the word listings, but I think
pre foreclosures.
Yeah, that's what I thought he meant. Yeah, absolutely. Title companies want your business so bad, they're willing to give you resources to get it, right? Not only are they willing to give you resources, they're willing to make introductions for you. They're willing to host meetups for you. They're willing to, don't take the easy bait. They're going to try to give you tickets to football games. F that. Tell them to introduce you to their clients. Say, you know what? Why don't you give the football tickets to somebody else or the basketball tickets to somebody else, unless it's the Suns versus the Lakers? What I really want is for you to introduce me to the best buyers that you do business with, the ones who always close, the ones that buy in cash. I also want you to introduce me to your top 5 wholesalers. I also want you to let me talk to your legal department for 10 minutes so I can get all of the contracts I need. I mean, guys, title companies will bend over backwards. They will Gumby themselves to do business with you. Let them.
Love it. Yeah, a lot of people just don't realize that in that relationship, you have so much potential. You have so much value to them. You have so much. I mean, literally, title companies don't do business unless you bring them opportunities, right? I mean, obviously, there's traditional deals and there's things going on, but they still need new opportunities, new escrows to do every single day. So they literally have a whole team, and oftentimes of some of the most beautiful men and women in the state, to try to get you to do business with their title company, because they want to build a relationship with you and get you loyal to their business and bring them deals. Because listen, they are ensuring, title companies ensure that they did their work right. It's the craziest thing of all time. It's the biggest cash grab in all of this. It really is. I mean, you guys have title companies. It's very interesting. It's a wonderful business, and it's very necessary. I mean, you go to other countries that don't have title companies, and it's like it's a shit show. But with these title companies, they love you being part of their team, and they want to support you, and they're going to give you the resources if they can. They spend hundreds of millions of dollars on getting resources to give to agents and investors so that they can be more successful. So tap into it. It's right there.
Brent, two questions for you. Got two questions for you, Paul. You got to be brief on this one, because I got another follow-up one right after this from a gentleman that keeps asking you to answer his question.
Yep.
Paul says, how do you lock up deals virtually on the phone?
Well, remember, Paul, locking up deals is the natural ending to pre-qualifying, okay? Pre-qualifying and lead follow-up. So if you know the condition of the property, you know their timeline to sell, you know their motivation or what their problem is that you're solving, and you know their price, it's a natural progression that they're going to do business with you if they like you and trust you, all right? So a couple different things. You can send them an email signature and keep them on the phone and go through the contract and ask them to sign. Don't overthink it. Just make sure that you're pre-qualifying them. If you've pre-qualified them, they agree to the price and terms. The third and missing ingredient of that, Paul, is you. Do they like you and do they trust you? And if you've got all three of those ingredients, then you're going to get that contract signed, brother.
So this was actually the question he asked you to answer. I had to go up there and look for it. So XRP Commando keeps asking, hey, Brent, will you please answer my question? I came up and found it. Brent, I'm going to redirect him to Sunday service if you don't mind. But the question was, so I have a deal who wants a little more than my cash offer. I still got it with equity, no rehab. So I pitched lease purchase. Could you briefly just touch on how I make money? Bro, yeah. I would love to talk about how you make money, but I did that last night for an hour and 40 minutes, all about lease options. Sunday service, youtube.com/PaceMorby. Go watch the replay of last night's episode and you'll learn everything you need to learn about lease options. And if you have a question about lease options, subject to seller finance, novation agreements, notes, all of that kind of stuff, then DM me on Instagram. I'd be more than happy to answer you guys your questions about stuff. And by the way, I have a YouTube series called The Daily DMs, where I take my DMs and I answer them on my YouTube by 4, 5, or 6 minute answers, which I could never give you that much time on Instagram. So I put it on YouTube. Ask your questions on my Instagram and I will put them on YouTube in a long form question. So sorry, bro, that was the question.
No, you see that last part, Pace? I think that's the real important. How I make money, right?
Yeah,
so how I make my money. Remember, QRP_commando. You can put that property under contract and sell that property to an investor like Pace, like people that are buying these creative financing deals. They want to build their portfolio. They're ravenous. They want to just build this thing like crazy. You can sell that and get a fee for assigning those to Pace. I have students that do it every single week to Pace. That's how you make your money if you're looking to whatever, replace your income or just have more money in your bank account or do something right now. Or maybe you're not ready to build your rental portfolio, but you're excited about being able to go go to your wife and say, honey, or husband, I don't know, I assume commando, could be commanda, who knows, here is the check that I closed. I can do this. What do you think? And then get all that love and support that you deserve. So, you can lock it up and, obviously watch what Pace says on Sundays and the recordings there so that you know technically how to put that together and where they need to sign and what they need to do. But then from there, assign it to somebody else and get a check.
So Sunday service, everybody, R. Hoofer says, or Coofer says, I strongly suggest you use your real name so we can call you by your real
It
name.
helps out a lot, man. Don't hide behind
a brand. I'm not going to tell people, or I'm not going to tell my wife, hey, babe, you wouldn't believe who I did a deal with. I did a deal with this guy named R. Cooper 37, right?
He's
put your name on the. People want to know your name, guys. We want to know your name. Now, here's another question that's super important: knowing each other's names, how we brand ourselves. The main reason I just actually released a YouTube video about this: why you should build a brand in real estate, is because people get to know you, they sell deals to you, and you can basically have a flow of deals the rest of your life. Now, Benny Rascon asks a great question. He says, do you guys answer your DMs or is it another person on your team? There is not a single DM that does not get replied to on my Instagram by another person. My Instagram is solely by myself. In fact, most people in the chat that know me and DM me know that I'm video replying to you most of the time. So it's me because I'm the one driving and going, that's a great question, dude. Blah, 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 blah. So yes, I personally answer my DMs on Instagram 100% of the time. What about Jamil and Brent? Do you guys answer your DMs?
I don't. No. I'll tell you right now. Here's the deal. I have all my students. They give me their cell phone, so I am working with them. I'm responding to them throughout the day. Alejandra goes through my Instagram and the real creative, not just kind of lazy DMs. She puts in front of me, and we go through that every day and respond. So that's the filter process that I go through because there's just a lot of.
Here's the thing is I can tell you, knowing Alejandro, I would much rather have her answer the DMs than you anyway.
Yeah.
Because she knows where all the answers are, right off the top of her head. So when somebody says, hey, Brent, how do I comp this? Or Brent, how do I do this? Or which contract? Alejandra is going to give them a really good answer to go find the answer. So 100%. Really, really good high level girl. She sits next to you. I've been in your office multiple times, by the way, and she looks at it and she goes, hey, how do you want me to answer this? And you'll answer it. So in a lot of ways you are answering, not that it's good or bad to be the person answering it. Some people think I'm crazy to be the one doing all the videos, but at the end of the day, the main question is, do you actually reply? Because I get a lot of people say that nobody replies to my DMs when I go message other high influencer types.
And for me, honestly, I tried to manage it myself. I tried to be the guy that was responding. And then what happened is just timeline, there's so many of them. Sometimes it would take me months to get through them. And then that question is no longer relevant because they needed an answer about a deal that they were in right then. So I do have help. But Nino, who has been with me for quite some time, is amazing. He knows where all the answers are. And when it's an emergency, he actually screenshots the question to me. I read it personally and then I respond. So that shouldn't stop you guys from reaching out. We want you to reach out. We want to do deals with you. We want to hear from you. But I also want that to happen in a timely way. And if it was just in my hands, it wouldn't be timely.
Yeah, each of us goes over 3 hours of live question and answer every week on our YouTube channels. And if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channels, please do. Today, we come out with shows. I've got a show every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Now Pacific Standard Time, and phenomenal real estate investing program that is very, very heavy on question and answers. We coach in the beginning, question and answers, comping properties, bring on a guest to really pound home the topic of the week. And it's absolutely the most fun that I have. We got a whole studio, spent
What time is that?
On it. It's at 10 o'clock on Pacific Standard Time every Wednesday. So you can get access there, get access here. And obviously my TTP family members have access to me through my cell phone.
I can say honestly that one of my favorite YouTube channels, and I tell my team all the time, if you guys have a question about wholesale, just go to Brent's YouTube channel.
It's a lot. There's like we're putting out a lot, and Jamil has a comping show every Wednesday. What time is that at, Jamil?
2 p.m. on my YouTube channel, guys. If
2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Yep, Royal Estate investors, bring that deal to the show on Wednesday, and we'll comp it. And I can get into the weeds with you about it. I don't want to rush through them. For anybody that was there on last Wednesday's show, it was fantastic. We got through a ton of houses. We really, really, really get into the weeds with them and get through the nuances. And I also give you, in my opinion, what your offer price should be. So how good is that? Don't you want to know what you should actually lock a deal up at?
So guys, we harp a lot on people about consistency. And this guy has been the most consistent person that has repeatedly popped this freaking question up on literally 25 times. He's put this on here.
Yep.
I would be an absolute hypocrite if I did not reward this consistency, especially when we ask people to make comments. So Royal Estate Investors LLC. I don't know if that's the name your mom gave you or if that's your company name or what, but please tell us your name. We want to address you guys. It's hard to build a community when we don't know your name. So please, guys, consider at least giving us your name at the very beginning of your question so we know who to address. Says, I don't know how to comp a property. Apparently, he has a property right by where Amazon just bought this big piece of land and it's throwing the comps off. So his question is, I need help running the comps. Here's what I'm going to answer. Show up on Wednesday at 2 p.m. Jamil's show, Straight Outta Compin'. That is exactly where you should go, especially when you get challenging stuff. I tell my sub 2 community all the time. I go, guys, if Jamil comes in here for a special Zoom, I want you guys to pummel him with the hardest stuff.
They did too. Oh my God.
Let me ring this for Justin being brave, huh?
Love it. Love it. Love it. So, Justin, Wednesday, 2 p.m. Arizona time. And I don't say PST or MST because we are a state in and of ourselves. We are constant all year long, Arizona time. Okay. Look it up. Google it. Arizona time. Okay. 2 p.m. Arizona time. Jamil goes live with Emily and they do a show called Straight Outta Compin' where I don't want you guys bringing him anything easy. I want you to stump this genie.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Still to this day, I've never seen him get stumped. He will tell you, hey, this is a really challenging one, but he'll dive deeper and he'll give you a number. The guy is freaking unbelievable. So there you go, Justin. There's the answer.
That's it. That's the show. Boom. Pace, what time's your show on Sunday again?
Sunday service, 7 p.m. every single Sunday, guys. It's not a religious show. 7 p.m. Arizona time. Last night we had a little over 400 live viewers. It was all about lease options. This coming show is all about depreciation. Ricky Miller, by the way, just locked up a deal. My team, Nick Newling, just locked up a deal with Ricky Miller. So congratulations, Ricky. When we close that deal, TTP is going to be ringing that bell for you, and we'll have you come on the show as a special guest.
Yes.
But, yes, Arizona does not change our time zones, guys. So when I tell you the time, it's always Arizona time, 7 p.m. Sunday service.
And if you guys aren't subscribed to each of our YouTube channels, if you're watching from one and not the other, subscribe. Go do that right now. When the show is over, go subscribe, guys. You want to catch all these lives. You want to catch Sunday service. You want to catch Brent's show on Wednesday. You want to catch Straight Outta Compin' that I do on Wednesday. You'll subscribe, click the bell thing so you get an alert. Show up, learn. It's free stuff. I don't know why you guys wouldn't want to get free information. Let's go.
Awesome.
Brent,
Yep.
Take us home, bro. Tell us about your
great
show.
show,
and take us
guys.
home.
This is Wholesale Hotline number 57, talking all about virtual wholesaling. And I think here's the absolute bottom line that we found from this show. Okay, listen, you can do this business anywhere you want to go. You can do it in big markets, you can do it in small markets, but test it out. Go to the markets where you feel you're having the best conversations and you're building up the best cash buyer database, and just go with confidence and just understand that, just like we opened this thing up with, if you start building that momentum, you start building that motion in your daily schedule, you are going to get, what do they call it? They call it the momentum, the power of momentum or something, whatever. And that's what you need. That's where you get into the zone. You get into that zone where you are unstoppable and you're able to really, really, really understand the power of this business. So for myself, Brent Daniels, Jamil Damji, and Pace Morby, we've seen you 57 times. We love you. Until the next time, we'll see you next Monday. Join us live on our other shows on Wednesdays and Sundays. We'll see you next time. We love you.
Or just say squat up.
So squat up and enjoy the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
1, 2, 3.
So squat up and enjoy the show.
What are you doing?
I didn't say nothing.
Why?
I don't know. I
Okay.
forgot. So squat up and enjoy the show.
Cool. I think we should use the one where Jamil doesn't say anything.